to the 10th and final episode of season finale of season 1 titled Psychological Disorders.
Yeah.
We are the Kois. I'm Nithya.
I'm Alyssa.
And I'm Anvita, and today we're going to talk about psychological diseases and then play a game where we see whether we can properly diagnose various diseases when listening to a case story and the patient's symptoms.
So, to start off, there are a variety of different psychological diseases that affect how one thinks, feels, and behaves that causes significant distress and that is considered deviant in that person's culture or society.
We actually talked about a psychological disease earlier on in the season, Munchausen syndrome by proxy, which is actually what Gypsy Rose Blanchard's mom had. So, a brief review, Munchausen syndrome by proxy is when a caretaker, oftentimes a mother, consciously fakes or produces symptoms or illnesses for attention or internal gain.
Another disorder that we talk about is conversion disorder, which is basically a condition in which a person experiences physical or sensory problems such as paralysis, numbness, blindness, deafness, or seizures with no underlying neurologic pathway.
Mm-hmm.
Pathology.
Neurological pathology.
Yes.
Yay. Okay. Symptoms are weakness or paralysis, abnormal movements like tremors, loss of balance, difficulty swallowing, or seizures.
So, fun fact, the main character from the show Never Have I Ever, Davy, actually has the conversion disorder after her dad's death. You can see you can see that she can barely walk, and she was stuck in a wheelchair for quite some time.
Yeah, basically because, we talk about it later, but convergent theory is it was caused by emotional physical trauma. So when her dad died, that's a bunch of emotional trauma, and
Definitely.
because she was
her leg wasn't actually broken or anything, or no?
yeah, her leg wasn't actually broken.
Like when she saw the coyote, she walked up, right?
I don't remember, but her leg wasn't actually broken. It was just that her brain basically told her that her brain basically made it so that she was experiencing paralysis in the bottom half of her body, so she couldn't walk.
Oh yeah, she consumed by her grief, she experienced
Psychosomatic paralysis, which is a symptom of convulsion theory.
Yeah.
Convulsion disorder, sorry, not
She
convulsion
couldn't
theory.
use her limbs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And something similar to conversion disorder is dissociative disorder. That's when someone is disconnected from their thoughts, memories, consciousness, and identity. And symptoms include loss of memory, impaired sense of self, emotional numbness, out-of-body experiences, difficulty concentrating, and sudden mood swings.
Both conversion and dissociative disorder are typically caused by emotional and physical trauma or significant stress. Oftentimes, the two can actually occur together.
Yeah, so a lot of these disorders actually happen a lot of times in shows, and but we don't actually think of that as we don't really know it's
what it is.
Yeah, what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's important to raise kind of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going through that, you can see that, oh, baby's going through the same thing. Maybe I have that, and you can seek help.
Mm-hmm. So moving on to more commonly known and experienced disorders, the most common category of psychological disorders in America are actually anxiety disorders. Basically, they cause people to experience distressing and frequent fear and apprehension. While many people experience these feelings during a job interview or public speaking event, those are normal responses to stress. But those with anxiety disorders feel them more commonly and in typically non-stressful events. Anxiety is actually a blanket term that includes a host of specific disorders, which we'll talk about throughout the episode.
Mm-hmm. Okay, one of the disorders in this category is the generalized anxiety disorder, and it's characterized as by excessive worry about issues and situations that individuals experience every day, and any worrying that is out of proportion to the reality of the situation may fall under this disorder, which I think we can very much relate to before tests, before big events, even before filming these episodes. I feel kind of stressed, am I going to say the right thing, or is it going to go the way that we expect,
But I think we are anxious and we're stressed, but there's also a line between anxiety and also anxiety disorder, because anxiety disorder, basically you need to feel symptoms for I think a month before actually being classified as a disorder.
Wow.
Not symptoms, you need to feel symptoms constantly, consistently for a month before it's categorized as a disorder. Yeah. But like, yeah, I agree. We all like experience like anxiety and stuff like that.
Definitely.
There's also another type of disorder that's called obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD. And it's a condition when someone has reoccurring uncontrollable thoughts or behaviors that an individual may feel an urge to repeat over and over. It can be innate or trained, but when it becomes a disorder, when these actions interfere with their lives and they cannot function without completing these things, they become really anxious and stressed if they don't.
So an extension of OCD is
No problem.
So an extension of OCD is something called OCPD, obsessive compulsive personality disorder, which is when the recurring uncontrollable thoughts or behaviors is related to their values. So for example, if someone is hardworking, they can feel the need to complete all the tasks at a very, very certain time, or else they become stressed or anxious, stuff like that. So it kind of relates to character and personality.
Definitely. Someone who experiences frequent, sudden panic attacks may be diagnosed with panic disorder. Having a panic attack doesn't necessarily mean that an individual has a panic disorder. Mm-hmm. Instead, it has to be like a pattern of panic attacks that can lead to this diagnosis. So again, similar to the anxiety disorder, like I think there has to be like a change.
Yeah. Like consistent.
Yeah.
And another commonly known disorder is PTSD, and it's also known as post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a mental health condition that is the result of a triggering traumatic event. Those who experience violent combat, abuse, or witness a terrifying event may develop PTSD. And while some people are better at coping than others due to their character, so they might not develop PTSD from the same situation that another person might develop PTSD from.
We actually talked about PTSD when we were talking about no, sorry, we actually didn't. We didn't say it. It was in the script. Cut it out, sorry.
I think the term PTSD is taken so lightly these days.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You know, like they take like anything that like is like unordinary and they label it PTSD.
Yeah, I think PTSD is very like a traumatic event that happened. I think it's used a lot to classify people who like were in the military and like war when they come back.
Yeah, veterans is actually the biggest population of those who have PTSD.
Wow.
And I think same thing with like we talked about this with phobias in our last episode, but like there's a difference between like one problem but actually experiencing this disorder. Like you have to look for the symptoms. So for example, the symptoms of PTSD are intrusive memories, flashbacks, or nightmares of a traumatic event, avoidance of reminders or triggers of the event, negative changes in thinking and mood such as memory loss, low mood, anger, or numbness, changes in physical and emotional reactions such as sleep disturbances, anxiety, fear, irritability, or isolation, and symptoms last more than a month and interfere with daily functioning. So like again, consistently within a month before it's actually disorder, rather than like, oh, you keep remembering this one event for like maybe a few days and it's gone, kind of thing.
So would you have to like go to a doctor to be like, can you log like down for like a month and to see if I have this disorder?
I think when you bring up that point of going to a doctor, I think it's like really important to know while we're talking about these like psychological diseases, not to self-diagnose. Like these symptoms might be like, no, like this kind of sounds like me. It's important to go talk to a doctor, like you're saying, and see if it actually is what you're going through, or like if it's different.
Yeah, I fully agree. Actually, typically when you go to a doctor, I would assume that if you would ask like, oh, do I have PTSD, something like that, they would have you track down what you like your memories or like of this specific event like over the month to see how many times you experience it.
Yeah. And
then they will typically diagnose you. But yeah, definitely do not self-diagnose on like based on what social media says.
And moving on to another common category of psychological disorders. Do one of you want to talk about it?
These are mood disorders, and it's normal to experience mood swings from time to time. And people with mood disorders live with more persistent and severe symptoms that can disrupt their daily lives. So I think, like, again, it's very important not to self-diagnose. This is, like, obviously way more severe to be labeled as or diagnosed as a disorder. Depending on the specific disorder, people may experience an ongoing sad, anxious, or empty mood, the feeling of hopelessness, low self-esteem, excessive guilt, and decreased energy are all symptoms.
So one of the most common disorders that fall into this category is MDD, or major depressive disorder. It's sometimes referred to as clinical depression and is characterized by 2 or more weeks of consistent low mood and loss of interest in daily life. So again, with the self-diagnosing thing that we were talking about, if you're feeling like low mood or loss of interest for a few days, you would probably just be like sad, but it's not you wouldn't have like major depressive disorder. Like that's more something that
You wouldn't have enough like evidence to like say like I have this disorder.
Yeah, exactly. You can't. Yeah.
And going back to something we mentioned in actually episode 8, I think, about habits and addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Depression is one of the things where like some people get it because it's genetic,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is also really important to know your family history when talking to doctors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of these disorders can come from your family.
Definitely. There's also another popular one is bipolar disorder, which is essentially a combination of mania and depression. Mania is a state of hyperactivity when the brain can't go to sleep, and there's like a mnemonic for it. Lucy, do you want to go over it?
The mnemonic is called dig fast with 2 S's. D is distracted when someone is very easily distracted. I is impulsive when people make very impulsive decisions. G is grandiosity where people think they're the best. F is flight of ideas where they jump from idea to idea very quickly, even if the ideas aren't related. A is hyperactive. Sorry, I messed up. There's 2 A's. And the other A is agitated. And S is sleepness. They don't sleep. And T is pressured talk, where they speak so fast and they can't stop speaking like they're in a rush to get their thoughts out.
Sorry.
Now you're getting it.
So it's like a total rush of like all these thoughts, like
So
creating a mania.
So basically, to be diagnosed with mania, you would need to show at least 3 out of the 7 symptoms of dig fast, and you would have to have it for over a period of time.
Mm-hmm. So if someone has a manic episode, then a depressive episode, they typically are bipolar, and these episodes can range from a week to months before mood swings actually do occur.
And I want to note something. I think on social media, a lot of people mess up bipolar disorder with borderline personality disorder. I don't know if you guys see that. But just to like clear it out, borderline personality disorder is a mental illness that severely impacts a person's ability to manage their emotions, versus I think like bipolar disorder is like a combination of.
There's definitely a bigger depth. There's like a bigger spectrum of emotions that people deal with when dealing with borderline personality disorder. And bipolar disorder is just like really hyperactive to very low active, very loss of interest in life, and very low mood. So it's a huge contrast that jumps around for a person.
Mm-hmm. There's also a category of psychological disorders, which is the psychotic disorders. Those suffering from psychotic disorders may be unable to understand what's real and what's not. This group of mental disorders change an individual's sense of reality, and scientists believe that certain viruses, problems with how specific brain circuits work, extreme stress or trauma, and some forms of drug abuse may play a role in the development of psychotic disorders.
And I think like the most commonly known ones are schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, and delusional disorder.
There's a disorder for delusion.
I think TikTok honestly takes a lot of things out of proportion.
But it's so unserious. It doesn't like.
Yeah, TikTok definitely makes it unserious.
It doesn't like bring attention to an actual like problem that people may face.
Just trauma dumping, like people.
Like imagine like you're in a group setting and then one person has like the delusional disorder and you're like, oh, you're delusional. Like, come on.
Yeah.
That's actually
it's so
insensitive.
Insensitive.
Yeah. To go back to schizophrenia. Schizophrenia causes people to experience an abnormal reality. They may have delusions, hallucinations, or disordered thinking or behavior. And it's kind of okay, this one's different. Schizoaffective disorder, however, is a combination between a psychotic disorder and a mood disorder. And it causes people to experience both psychosis symptoms, including hallucinations and mood symptoms. Oh my god.
It's a doozy.
And mood symptoms, such as depression and anxiety.
Yeah, so basically schizoaffective disorder is basically a combination of schizophrenia and multiple mood disorders.
Yeah.
But actually there was an artist who has schizophrenia who painted cats. His name was Louis Wayne, and I don't know if I've seen him all over like TikTok. But regardless, he was basically an artist with schizophrenia, and if you look at his paintings from the beginning before he was diagnosed with schizophrenia, like before he started having schizophrenia, because like schizophrenia comes when like you're typically older people, and so you see before he had schizophrenia, and then like after and like the height of the schizophrenia, and then before he passed away, and like the artistry of the cats drawings, like it went from like really kind, pure, cute cats, like cats with multiple eyes, and then multiple cats with multiple eyes, and there's like cats with I'm just gonna show and be the initial pictures, but it's like the way that he painted them when he had schizophrenia made it like you could tell like it's like he was very like people say that he was very paranoid. You can
For
tell
those
in his,
watching, I can insert a picture.
people saying that he was very paranoid, and you can see that in his drawings of cats because like you have the cats.
Wow.
But like very like complex and like
So
kinda,
detailed.
Yeah.
like
Intricate.
like
those.
intricate designs, but they look like they're scared. Like they're not like any like cute anymore kind of thing.
Wow.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, that's
The delusional disorder is characterized by a fixed false belief based on an inaccurate interpretation of an external reality. People with the delusional disorder do not know that they are not experiencing reality.
so yeah, it's definitely much more severe than people like and serious than people like make it out to be.
Like imagine you're in like a state of like confusion, like to like such a high extent.
Like people with delusional disorder really do not know the difference between reality and what they're like what they're
scary
thinking.
to
Right?
live with.
Because like it honestly it has such a big impact on daily life because when you're interacting with other people, if you don't know what you're experiencing is reality or not, people like act differently than they would in different situations, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we did like a really brief overview of various psychological disorders, and with this knowledge, we're gonna try to apply our knowledge with some fake patient cases.
Okay, so let's start with the case, guys.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna read the case out.
Okay.
A 25-year-old man comes to the ED by ambulance after being found sitting in the street. The patient's parents say that the patient believes that she is being watched by a government secret service agency, and he has broken up with his girlfriend, quit his job, and disconnected his phone around a year ago because of that. The patient's parents expressed concern that the patient no longer cares about his hobbies, and last month he moved into the garden shed with his dog. On examination, the patient is
Malodorous means smelling very unpleasant.
disheveled and laughs for no reason. He later gets angry and refuses to sit for the interview. He switches back and forth between unrelated topics and says he lives in the holy buffet. Vitals are unremarkable. What is the diagnosis?
So
This is giving delusional disorder.
So wait, do you want to like say what we think and then give our reasoning?
Okay, I say delusional disorder because it said he switches back and forth between unrelated topics, and he says he lives in the holy buffet because he's like he can't like differentiate where he is, like reality or not, you know.
Me personally, I think he might have bipolar disorder. You know how like in the case it was like, what is it? Switches back and forth between unrelated topics, and then in the
Mnemonic.
Of symptoms, one of them is distracted, where someone is getting really distracted.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Also another one of the sorry, I can hear you.
Oh no, you go.
So yeah, I was thinking like so there's hints of bipolar disorder I think because she switches back and forth, and right one of the F in Dig Fast is flight of ideas, which means you switch between ideas very quickly. But also when I hear like the patient believes that he's being watched by a government secret service agency, that's giving a delusion, but I would think like hallucinations.
More definitely.
Yeah. Okay, well, why don't we check?
So I think it's like either schizophrenia or bipolar.
Oh, you're right.
It's schizophrenia. Okay.
Did she give
There's no explanation.
criteria here? I'll be the
Oh,
criteria.
there is.
Delusions, hallucinations, disorganized thoughts and speech. So that makes he was schizophrenic because he was having delusions and hallucinations about the government secret service agency, and then like the flight of ideas, which is a symptom for both mania and schizophrenia. Then, because Dig Fast is a symptom of mania and not just bipolar. Bipolar needs to have switching between both.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, and then essentially you need to have at least 2 of the 3 symptoms: delusions, hallucinations, and disorganized thought of speech for at least a 6-month period to be diagnosed with schizophrenia. Okay.
Another case: a 50-year-old woman presents with multiple small sores, abscesses, and scratches on her left arm. She expresses concern that she started having the sores a month ago, and they still have not healed or gone away. She doesn't know how the sores developed and is worried that they will spread to the rest of her body. She is a nurse who presented with similar lesions in the past, where her skin lesions had fecal bacteria and were severely infected. She also had an episode of spreading infection and cellulitis, where she was hospitalized and needed antibiotics. She has no other medical issues. What is the diagnosis?
I'm not sure.
This is a tough one because it's like a lot of physical stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a guess, but I'm not sure this is right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing conversion disorder because she had skin lesions in the past, right? And they're severely infected, and she was hospitalized, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that gave her some kind of emotional trauma, and that she thinks she's having it again, not because of her body being infected, but because her brain she's having conversion disorder, where she's experiencing physical and sensory symptoms. But also, when we were talking about conversion disorder earlier, that wasn't any of the symptoms.
Wait, I thought it's like when you think you have something but you don't. It's like in your head, right? Isn't that what conversion is?
Isn't that
No,
delusion?
conversion disorder is, conversion disorder is when you experience something because even though you don't need to, like, you're experiencing physical and sensory problems.
Oh.
But it's not, like...
But they're not actually, like, their body part isn't actually...
Well, I mean, in Never Have It Ever, her limbs didn't work because of conversion theory. Like, her limbs actually didn't work. She couldn't walk.
The same thing was in Sherlock Holmes. Have you guys watched that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, Watson, at the beginning, he
Yeah.
was on crutches.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
Sherlock was like, you don't need them.
Oh, I love that movie. Such a good movie.
And he was like, I do, but he actually didn't.
Yeah, so I think I'm guessing conversion theory. I mean, not theory, conversion disorder. But I also don't know because it seems like she's had it before, and it also, like I wouldn't know.
Well, maybe she's saying that she doesn't know how they developed. So.
But couldn't it also be like it's just like a return of the infection? I feel like no.
Okay, well, let's see. Huh?
But you guys have guesses? Do you have guesses?
I'm stumped.
I mean, conversion seems like the only thing that could happen.
Okay, let's check. Oh.
What?
It's Munchausen syndrome, actually. We talked about this in our previous episode. But it's just a disorder where you think you have something, but you really don't.
Like you're consciously faking or producing these illnesses for attention or like internal gain.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But I think that was kind of the way the case was described. We wouldn't have known if she was just thinking it.
Yeah, I thought she actually had it.
Yeah.
oof. Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially, the answer is Munchausen syndrome by proxy because she has medical knowledge, so she knows how to like describe her like lesions. It's only on one arm and not two. But I feel like there could be
If it wasn't Munchausen syndrome and like she actually had these injuries, what do we think it could be?
I just think that it'd just be like sores, like skin lesions.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be
Just
psychological.
injuries. Yeah.
Sorry, I think that's right.
Oh, but it is a psychological case, so maybe we should have taken that into account.
Yeah, but
Yeah. It's okay. Case number 4.
Case number 3, yeah. A 35-year-old woman presents with persistent fatigue over the past year. She says that she has felt unhappy since she was fired from her job. She says she doesn't have enough energy to do anything, and that everything feels like a chore to do. She does not express interest in any hobbies, and says she doesn't think that her life will improve. She says she feels guilty for feeling like this and not trying to find a new job. The patient states that she has decreased concentration, decreased appetite, and has poor sleep at night, but she denies any thought of suicide. She denies drinking alcohol or smoking. What is the diagnosis?
Isn't this the
Depression?
The mood one?
A mood disorder?
My mind's immediately went to depression.
Yes, and I immediately went to depression too.
It says there's no interest. She feels guilty.
Mm-hmm.
decreased concentration.
We talked about how it's like depression or like clinical depression is categorized by 2 or more weeks of consistent low mood or loss of interest in daily life, and she got fired from her job like a year ago. So it's been a pretty long time. She's still feeling like this.
Yeah.
She has no interest. And I think like this thing she doesn't think her life will improve is a pretty big symptom of it, like feeling hopelessness.
Oh, and like some symptoms of MDD or major depressive disorder, like clinical, or also known as clinical depression, as Nitia was saying earlier, like persistent sadness, anxious, empty mood, feelings of hopelessness, pessimism, irritability, feelings of guilt, worthlessness or helplessness, loss of interest or pleasure in hobbies and activities. In this case, Lily states that like she feels guilty, she doesn't express interest in any hobbies, doesn't have energy. So I definitely do think it's like MDD.
Also, before when we were describing each disorder, we said that the clinical depression is characterized by 2 or more weeks of consistent low mood and loss of interest in daily life, which is described in the case's description.
Yeah.
So I think MDD, is that our final guess?
Yeah, MDD.
Let's see.
We're
right!
We're right! So I think it's pretty important to note that it has to be happening for at least 2 weeks to have this diagnosis, which this woman has been sadly feeling this way for more than 2 weeks. Okay, new case. A 26-year-old man presents with worsening fatigue and headaches over the past 2 years. He says he cannot sleep at night because he worries if he isn't good at his job, if he's going to get fired one day, whether or not he will get cancer, if the house will be broken into or not, if his wife is going to divorce him, or if he will get into a car accident, or if he will get into a car accident the next day. During the day, he is tired and expresses muscle aches in his neck and shoulder. He says he has difficulty concentrating at work now. The patient does not have any medical history. What do we think? I'm jumping to anxiety.
I went into panic.
Panic, okay.
Because he's like panicking if the house will be broken, if he'll get cancer, if he's gonna get fired.
Maybe OCD too. I think the case doesn't say that the man's like doing anything, but I know like a lot of people when they have OCD they do things because they think if they don't they're gonna like die or something.
Mm-hmm. That's a huge possibility.
Let's check case. Okay, yeah, generalized anxiety disorder.
Also, it wasn't panic. It was just anxiety.
Yeah, we thought it was depression, right? Or
No,
You thought it was OCD. I thought it was panic.
No, you said
okay.
you said the first thing came to mind was anxiety, and I was gonna say like I agree with Nitya with it being like something anxiety.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to note that it has to like last like 6 months before you actually
Yeah.
diagnose it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like he's so anxious about everything, like things that you typically wouldn't be as anxious about. Like people don't just whether or not people don't just worry about whether they'll get cancer on like a random day. That's like something you don't really think about, right?
This
Yeah.
man seems like me in my future.
Oh.
Oh,
Dark. Dark. Holy moly.
I'm such a fool.
You guys don't think about like your house getting broken into at night?
No.
I think about me falling out my window.
Bro, I think about how like in 2 seconds I can have like a
I think about
weapon
me.
to my face and die.
I think about me.
Or kidnapped.
Yeah, literally like in the blink of an eye,
Like
I'm dead.
No, like you turn and there's a man standing right there
Yeah.
about to abduct you.
Yeah, or like just like room or like I'm going to the left where everyone's dead.
I think about me not getting to college. Very often,
Jesus
actually. very often, actually. No, but I get what you mean. Like, I get what you mean.
Do you?
No, yeah.
Our next case, a 34-year-old female presents to the emergency department after experiencing sudden paralysis of both her lower legs. Her husband says that her symptoms started around 3 days ago without any trauma or warning signs. She has no significant medical history and denies any infections. She only reports significant stress at work because of impending deadlines and increased responsibilities. Upon examination, she appears anxious and distressed. She cannot move her legs voluntarily, but sensation and deep tendon reflexes are intact, with no evidence of numbness or tingling. Vitals are unremarkable, and labs came back with all values of within normal ranges. What is the diagnosis?
I think this is conversion disorder.
This is literally Davy's case.
No, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree with this. This is definitely conversion disorder because it says that she has no significant medical history and there's no infections.
Mm-hmm.
Lab results are like normal,
Mhm.
but she cannot move her legs
Yeah.
voluntarily, and it happened because she's like stressed with impending deadlines
Yeah.
and responsibilities, right? So all that like the significant stress in her life is making her body like say like, oh, you're gonna have like sudden paralysis in your legs, like not paralysis, but like yeah, sudden paralysis.
Especially how it's like the sensation and deep tendon reflexes are still intact, and there's no evidence of numbness or tingling. Like, it's not like
So her like legs are like neurologically fine. It's
Yeah.
just that her like she's having that disorder.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely say conversion.
Are we right?
Are we? We are. Oh my gosh.
Okay, and then we have one more case. Before we end it off, end off our season.
Hooray!
So sad.
Okay, so Emma, a protective mother, experiences multiple thoughts about potential harm coming to her loved one, particularly her younger daughter. She engages in subtle rituals to alleviate her anxiety, such as mentally repeating specific phrases or silently counting to a certain number. Emma's rituals are relatively discreet and do not significantly interfere with her daily functioning, but they provide her with a sense of temporary relief from her fears. What do you think the diagnosis is?
OCD.
I also get OCD.
But it says it doesn't interfere with her daily functioning.
I guess there's different like spectrums or levels of OCD, right? So I guess I don't think she has that bad of an OCD where like she can't function without doing it, but it does help alleviate her anxiety.
Mentally repeating specific phrases or silently counting. So she does. Yeah.
It's like an uncontrollable. Like she just
Like she doesn't want it to be like known, so she just does it in like her
Oh,
head.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's OCD.
Are we right?
Should we check?
Yeah.
It is
OCD.
Yippee!
We got it right.
How many did we get right?
At least we got them all right.
Did we get them all?
No, I didn't get 1001. Right?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah,
didn't
we
get
got that
1,000.
one wrong.
So we got like
6 right, 1 wrong.
So,
Yeah.
do you guys have any parting words for this season?
We hope you enjoyed the season. We had a lot of fun
we had
filming.
like so many fun.
Just want to like
topics.
reminisce on some great memories we
Wait,
had.
let's do that actually.
That's just a good.
What was your
Oh my God.
favorite episode?
My favorite episode. Wait, I need to pull them back up.
Wait, so to recap all our episodes, our first episode was the personality test one.
Yes.
And then we had the 4 principles, the medical ethics,
Screen versus teen.
Screen versus Teen, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, debunking medical
Yeah, Screen versus
myths.
teen. We have addicted teenagers here. Off the phone, Alyssa.
And
Sorry.
then we have reproductive rights,
Okay.
sleep, habits, addiction, phobias, and now psychological
Yeah.
diseases.
Oh my god, you guys remember in Screen versus Teen, that little
Oh,
argument we
Oh
had to
god,
get up?
the ending of that
Oh God.
really, ooh.
Okay, so what's your favorite episode?
My favorite episode? Ooh, I think Medical Myths was really fun to film.
Medical myths.
I personally like the personality type one.
That one was
The
fun.
first one.
Our very first
Also,
one.
ethical, unethical, the cases we talked about were really fun. Like,
They were really in depth.
yeah.
Also, our recent one, with the phobias.
Yeah.
That one was epic.
I think we had the most fun ethical or unethical.
Yeah.
Really?
What do you mean?
When you filmed, it took us like 4 hours to film.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. It was long, but it was good.
No, 'cause, okay,
After we had that little dance break, we really got back on track.
I really like the
follow us on
cases.
TikTok.
I really like the cases for ethical and unethical
Yeah.
because we had so many and like there's no right or wrong answer to what
It
you
was fun discussing, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
and like for ethical and unethical there's no like really right answer to what you can do. Like it's just like following your morals and like
Yeah.
a doctor's responsibilities. But I think I really like this one. You snooze, you lose. It's also pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
You snooze, you lose.
It was a really funny because we had a
It
lot
was
of
fun to
stories.
debate.
Oh
Because,
my
like,
God.
you two actually went at
Yeah,
it.
asking for the scene. You snooze, you lose. The one about sleeping in nightmares.
Oh, that one. That
Yeah.
was so fun.
We
that was fun to
recorded it
film.
at a burger shop we live next
Yeah.
to, and there was a bunch of motorcycles and people blaring music. But it was a really good episode.
And we had a lot of like funny stories. Well, Nitya had a lot of funny stories.
Well, yeah, I feel like the podcast, you can really get to know each one of us individually.
Yeah.
Why we talk about, like,
Kind of like our personalities. Like I think our
Yeah.
personalities like are really epic.
shine through.
could it shine?
Anyway,
Because mine.
what did you see the episode?
My least favorite
Why
episode?
would we say that, Alyssa?
What?
I think the episode where we had a bit of
Tension.
tension.
Scream versus teen.
We're gonna let you in something. Scream versus teen. We scripted a little argument, okay? We took sides, and then it resulted in a full blown argument that got cut out.
Ow, I just poked the hair out.
Oh.
Scream vs. Teen. Well, okay, so it was a debate, right? And yeah.
But heated debates are the most entertaining.
Yeah, that was a really fun episode, though.
Yeah,
Watch
definitely
it.
tune into that.
Yeah. In
But
video
it's the
format.
end of a season.
I know.
We're going to
Come back with another season.
Wait,
with
yeah,
a better
next
season.
season will
Slightly
come.
revamp.
Yeah, revamp more.
Revamped.
Yeah, with like guest speakers probably.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hopefully
yeah.
invite some
Guest
guest speakers.
speakers.
Oh yes.
Hopefully
tune
we
in.
can like do some like YouTube challenges, make it more fun to watch.
We'll be
us.
introducing new things.
New things,
New
and
topics.
Topics, yes.
It'll be fun. It'll be interesting.
Yes.
And we hope you enjoyed these 10
Yeah.
episodes with us.
And be sure to follow so you can see when the next season is
Yeah,
uploaded.
follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube
Yep.
to figure out if we have any updates for the upcoming season.
On TikTok, TikTok, Spotify, and YouTube, our is psych, and then like SIKE or PSYCH. But then on Instagram, it's psych, no spaces, and then 2 S's in the first psych, so SSIKE.
Yes, Alyssa, pop off. Okay.
Hi.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Come back with season 2.
Why would I do this?